What what was the genesis of Worthia as a character?
I wanted to pick a lot of different characters from different areas that reacted to the situation differently. Of course, we have like Joseph and his friends that are on a base and they're reacting in maybe a very predictable way from scientists. You have the family from New York City, fleeing all the violence and fleeing to a commune. Excuse me. Choosing that path. But in the president, you have other people, and Worthia would just, I don't know, it seemed like maybe someone who was coming out of the community they were in, and maybe in kind of a typical teenager attitude saying, hey, there's a whole nother world out there, and I'm not being told about, except it's bad,
Yeah.
Everything can't be bad, and not that this is necessarily, she's got rather large intelligence and basically get bored very easily where she's at, and knows that her lifestyle is not going to be a challenge at all. So maybe in typical fashion, her kids I'd say, there's got to be something more,
Mm-hmm.
So it was all, well, how would she get away? Where would she go? Where would she end up? She's got to end up in the central location of the other characters. How does that happen? And if you read the book, you feel like the train is carrying things because of other events that the other characters have started, of collecting supplies and such at this Revelation base, and so it all kind of gets weaved together in the people in the story.
Mm-hmm. I don't know that I actually noticed it in previous readings, but you really get that impression right from these first scenes with her. Excuse me, I'm doing the same thing. That she is a very bright person, and like she's formulating a new plan for how to get into the train car when she can't catch up, and she's constantly analyzing things and trying to figure out how to get by in her new situation. And were there any particular challenges with writing such a brilliant character?
I'm not really sure. She doesn't start off knowing as much as some of the other characters, so you got to be careful about what you put in there. But I don't know. When I write the story, I just write the words that the story puts in there. I guess. So the only really challenge is what path does she take? Where does she go? You can't just throw her, into the middle of things from the very start. So it kind of developed with her staying, in the apartment she stayed in, and kind of getting an education from Joseph's girlfriend, and learning how the world worked and such. And this kind of fun thing was kind of later when she dates Johann once.
Yes.
His reaction to all that. That's where she's really developing and really learning how to handle people in this world. And it's kind of a fun thing to make her kind of like the in charge, Like, oh man, we're being bested by a farm girl, man. I'm really losing it.
Yes, I like how she gets the better of a number of different characters throughout the story.
And then there's just Joseph's like, I just don't want to know. Just don't tell me. I don't want
yes.
to know. She's just that sweet little innocent thing still. That's what I keep telling myself.
Yeah, I liked in... so for those, everybody in the chat here, I just released an anthology of books by Brainlag authors, and Dale has the first story in it, life in the universe. And one thing I liked about, yeah, there we go, The Light Between Stars. There is a launch party for that tomorrow evening, also at 6 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. So if you guys want to join us, please feel free. It'll be right here on Twitch again. And in the passage that you wrote about the story that you wrote for The Light Between Stars, you said that you were about 80% a pantser in your writing. So that's even true for your longer works then.
Yes. I like to get like character names and places and out of the way, where are they, where they start, maybe some of the scenes I want to put in. But then, like I say, when I start writing, it's almost like the story tells me where it wants to go. I have to work, remind myself, work this in here, work this in here. But I've also said, well, I'm going to work this in and go, nope, not going to do that. Doesn't want it. So, I know I've been in seminars with people that do lots and lots of planning. In a way, I understand them doing it. In a way, I just don't feel it,
I consider myself a plantser. So I'm about half plotter, half pantser. And I, through the course of the books I've written, I've come to realize that I need to have that flexibility because, honestly, you never know what the characters are going to do.
They take on a life of their own. They
really do. Was there anywhere in particular in either Divided Earth or the first book, Innocent Earth, that the characters threw you for a loop?
I don't know about throw me for a loop, but as I go through, I think, okay, what's the situation? How would people act? What would be next? And the scene in the first book where our Huss gets surrounded by the journalist, that was really fun to do.
I'll bet.
And because, it's like, yeah, they would be looking for him. They'd be following him. They would mob him. And so, okay, so what's he going to do about it? Are you going to start throwing fists? You're going to do what? And there's some arguments that I always like to make. I've always wanted to make with journalists that I got to throw in there. So.
And it turns out in the end, he acted very much like Arhus.
Yeah. And it's the very end scene on the book with the aliens. That was one of those where I'm like, okay, what's he? Oh, okay, now I know what he's going to do. Oh, there's an obvious answer here. Okay. But you kind of sit there and you're writing it and you're getting all the doing this stuff, and it's like, okay, how are we going to resolve this? And the story just kind of tells you, know.
So do you end up needing to do a lot of rewriting or reworking of your stuff since it, kind of comes out on its own, or does it just, as a result of it coming out, pantsing it so much, does it just kind of lead itself on its own course?
I wouldn't say there's a lot of what I heard other authors of rewriting where they take out whole passages or they take a chapter and completely redo it from scratch or things of that nature. I do need quite a bit of track as you go along. You have to create new characters and new people and things, and I got to take notes on my own writing. So I'm like, okay, who are all these people I created? I got to write them down or I'll forget who they are.
Yeah.
And just kind of double checking, going back. Okay, did I answer things? Did I goof up when I resolve this and kind of do it wrong, or have the wrong person in there or something? But there's not a lot, I would say, wholesale rewriting.
Well, that's pretty good then.
I hope so. Maybe maybe it means I need it, but
Well, it's all flowed along very well, and I loved the progression of things in both Innocent Earth and Divided Earth. Uh, you certainly went a little bit more into the politics in Divided Earth, although it's more focused on the U.S. Certainly,
yeah,
in Innocent Earth, although the action was pretty much focused on Jerusalem, it was more of a global impact of the events. Whereas
yeah.
in Divided Earth, it's more focused on the U.S., even though there's point of view characters, having stuff going on all over the place.
Yeah, in the first book, the World Council is it's a world organization. So you got a lot of different people, a lot of different viewpoints, and the politics of that could get really messy really fast and really complicated. So Divided Earth was a little easier because you're focusing mostly on the U.S. Though I mean you still get some notes of what's happening around the world, but mostly on the U.S. Politics are mostly in the U.S. So that's you go a little bit more in depth with that and a little more feel. I guess because we're Americans now. I'm American down here, and how that sort of thing happens.
Mm-hmm. And I think, the U.S. is definitely ripe for being a source of that type of division and clash of politics because it's so, there's such a wide culture. There's so many different peoples in the U.S., people who come from all over, people with all sorts of different beliefs, and it's very colorful as a place. So it definitely offered a lot of opportunity for you to expand on that in Divided Earth.
Yeah, but I think if you really studied Europe and like the EU and their kind of central, the bank and everything of this where they credit essential is, you get a lot of different characters over there too, and a lot of different viewpoints and a lot of different driving forces.
That's true.
Which I'm not totally versed in, but get hinted a little bit about in the third book. But that can also be a very diverse landscape.
That is true. That is very true. Talking about this, though, I'm reminded of a Tumblr post that I saw recently, and there were a bunch of responses to it, but the one that really stuck out to me was that somebody said, "Does the rest of the world not realize that the U.S. is just a bunch of states piled up inside a trench coat pretending to be a nation?"
That's not exactly true.
It's kind of apt. I mean, from state to state, it's very different.
It can be very different. Yes, we're kind of like our own European Union in that we got a bunch of different states and they have their own viewpoints and characteristics, but we do have a national government which tries to work in common with everybody, which a lot of times politicians or people who comment about politics forget that you have 50 different states and you have 50 different viewpoints and wants and desires, and the federal government is about trying to find a common ground for
right. So, chat, if you have any questions, feel free to jump in here. So, yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to reading Book 3, Rebel Earth.
Yes, Rebel Earth. It's quite a bit in the future of this book, and well, without a spoiler, it's when the aliens come back.
So yeah, that should certainly be very interesting. So let's see. Do you have any other thoughts you'd like to share on the book or on writing?
I want to send me comments or questions. Personally, that's fine with me. Talk about it. I'm willing to listen. It's always interesting the different perspectives people bring when they read a book, and the things people like or don't like. One of my, I think maybe I share with you, my book I haven't had published. My wife, I wrote first couple books I wrote. My wife was reading. I made the mistake of killing a dog, and the wife got totally upset about that. And I'm like, it was a dog. And then I read a book on writing, and the lady there said, "Never kill a dog." I'm like, oh, now she tells me.
Yeah, that I actually I was part of a panel on writing animals in spec fic a year ago, and the moderator brought up that question very hesitantly, like, should you kill the dog? And I mean, ultimately it's another character, right?
Yeah, but even if it's a demon-possessed, vicious killing machine, you can't kill it.
Well,
sorry, you have to let the rest live.
Okay.
I didn't read Cujo, so I don't know if he dies in the end or not. But
I don't know. I've read Jack London, Call of the Wild, and
yep.
White Fang. I loved White Fang. That was a really sweet story.
Yes, yes. I guess in Old Yeller they replaced him so that they kind of had to, you know, and have a happy ending.
Actually, one of my favorite books when I was younger was The Incredible Journey. I loved that book. Yeah, so Divided Earth is coming out in September. It's, I believe, I'm just checking my calendar here. I've had so many new books coming out this year. It's fantastic. Friday, September 18th is when Divided Earth is going to be released. We also had, I don't know if you saw, but Publishers Weekly gave a nice review on Divided Earth recently. They said if you enjoyed the first book, that you definitely enjoy this one as well, the continuation of the story. So that was really nice.
Cool. Yes.
And yeah, so, well, it's been great chatting with you, Dale, and thank you for
the opportunity.
Yeah, thank you for sharing so much of the story with us. So the book is going to be released in September, as I said. Pre-orders are available now through Amazon, through Barnes & Noble, Chapters Indigo here in Canada, a lot of other places, as well as directly on my website. That's brain-lag.com, right there in the link right there. And any final thoughts about your short story then?
The short story is just something fun to write. I get these ideas, and sometimes they're short stories, sometimes they're full length. And I think the explanation in the anthology pretty covers it, but I'm always trying to look at things different, how things would go different than they usually do in normal stories that you read. Or I think it's like I listen to music and I change the words in my head because it just sounds better or something. I don't know. Neat. But I really want to write parody songs. I don't want to perform them, but I really want to write them. And actually, I want to write lyrics to a song that's a hit, and then write a parody song of that song.
So we've got the normal version and the parody version.
And I've actually wrote a parody song of a parody song. So, yeah. So my brain just wanders off in different areas. So it was just kind of a fun story to write. You know, deciding how to bring out the story. You know, how does it really get communicated to the reader? You know, instead of just telling them, "Oh, this happened." creating some kind of circumstance where it would happen. And that's the whole reason you have the dialogue or whatever else that's in there.
Well, I certainly enjoyed your story a lot. I mean, obviously, I decided it needed to be the first one in the anthology. And I tell you, the thing I love the most about it is the opening line. It's just, here's how it went. Boom. There you are. You're in the story right from line one. And I loved that. And it also sets up kind of the big twist at the end.
Yeah.
So.
But yeah, it kind of sounds like a debrief when you start reading it, and so you're kind of okay, but where is it happening? What who's she talking to, or is it just a memory?
Well, it was an absolute delight, and this pre-release party has been a lot of fun. Thank you again for coming. Thank you to chat for listening in.
Anytime. Well, anytime I can.
Yes. All right. Well, thank you, everybody. You have a great evening, and we'll see you right here on Twitch tomorrow. Good night.
Night.